Hi everyone, I'm a woman from the USA, just past my 60th birthday, and I'm here to help us thrive in our golden years with zest and vitality. Today, I've got a story that might sound all too familiar. How I tackled that soul-crushing afternoon slump that used to sap my energy and discovered one simple trick to stay fresh and alert all the way to dinner. If you've ever felt that 3 p.m. wall slam into you, eyes drooping, body begging for a nap you don't really want, I've been right there, battling to keep my head up and my spirit alive. I'll take you through my journey, from those weary, dragging afternoons in Charlotte, North Carolina, to a fix that keeps me buzzing with life when the clock strikes late. This isn't about chugging coffee till you shake or pushing yourself to the brink. It's a little tweak that's turned my days around. I hope this lifts your spirits and your energy, because in our golden years, we deserve afternoons that sparkle just as much as our mornings. Afternoon slumps used to knock me down hard, turning my days into a slog I couldn't escape. Living in Charlotte, I'd start strong, waking up at 6 a.m. with the sun peeking through my curtains, brewing a pot of coffee, and bustling around with morning chores like watering my roses or baking a batch of muffins for the grandkids. But come 2 or 3 p.m., it was like someone flipped a switch. My eyelids would sink, my legs would turn to jelly, and my brain would fog up like a misty Carolina morning, leaving me useless and drained. I'd plop onto my porch swing, a cup of tea growing cold in my hand, staring blankly at the oak trees swaying in the breeze, my body screaming for rest while my mind fought to stay in the game. I'd shuffle back inside, collapse onto the couch, and lie there staring at the ceiling, too tired to move, too stubborn to nap, just waiting for the clock to crawl toward supper so I could call it a day. I'd groan to my husband, "Honey, afternoons are out to get me." He'd tease back, "You're just winding down early," but I wasn't laughing. I wanted to enjoy my day, finish my gardening, play with the grandkids, or even just read a book without nodding off mid-page, not fade away like a flickering candle losing its flame. I tried every fix I could muster at first, desperate to shake off that heavy, sinking feeling that hit me like clockwork. I'd brew an extra cup of coffee around 2 p.m., thinking a jolt of caffeine would snap me out of it, but it only left me jittery for an hour before crashing even harder, my heart racing and my hands shaky with no real energy to show for it. I'd give in and nap sometimes, curling up on the couch with a throw blanket for 20 minutes, hoping to recharge, but I'd wake up groggy and disoriented, my head pounding and my mood sour, feeling worse than before I'd closed my eyes. I'd splash cold water on my face at the kitchen sink, letting it drip down my cheeks, or pace the living room in circles, trying to stir some life back into my limbs, but the slump clung to me like a stubborn shadow, refusing to budge no matter what I threw at it. I'd watch my neighbor Judy out in her yard at 4 p.m., pruning her roses or hauling mulch with a bounce in her step, while I could barely drag myself to the mailbox without feeling like I'd run a marathon. I'd mutter under my breath, "How does she do it? What's her secret?" I needed to beat this afternoon drag, not just limp through it, to keep my days full and alive instead of letting them slip away in a haze of exhaustion. The breakthrough came last fall at a church potluck, one of those warm October Sundays where the air smelled of fallen leaves and homemade apple pie. My friend Clara from Denver was visiting, and we got to talking over slices of pecan pie, the kind with a crust so flaky it melts in your mouth, when I let out a sigh and said, "Clara, I'm dead on my feet by 3 p.m. every day, got any tricks up your sleeve?" She grinned, her eyes lighting up, and said she'd been right where I was, fading fast every afternoon, until she stumbled on a fix that changed everything. A quick 5-minute stretch break. She'd learned it from a physical therapist she'd seen for a stiff shoulder, swearing it woke up her body and mind like nothing else, turning her slumps into a distant memory. She told me she used to feel that same heavy drag, barely able to keep her eyes open at her desk, but now she sailed through her afternoons with energy to spare, all thanks to a few simple moves. I tilted my head, skeptical as could be, and said, 5 minutes of stretching? That's really it? But Clara had that spark of someone who'd found gold, so I promised I'd try it the next day back in Charlotte, half expecting it to flop. It didn't, it worked like a charm, and I've been slump-free ever since. Here's the full scoop, how I made it my own, and every detail so you can give it a whirl too. The trick: a 5-minute stretch break wakes you up fast. Clara's trick was all about stretching, a simple move that packs a surprising punch. She said that afternoon slumps hit hard because your blood slows down after hours of sitting or a big lunch, pooling in your legs and leaving your brain starved for oxygen, making you feel like you're moving through molasses. A quick stretch gets everything flowing again, boosts your heart rate just enough, and shakes off that foggy curtain that drops over your mind, giving you a fresh burst without any caffeine or sugar. She'd been taught to stand up, reach her arms high like she was plucking stars from the sky, twist her torso gently side to side, and bend forward a bit, holding each move for a few breaths, and in just 5 minutes, she'd feel alive again, ready to tackle whatever came next. She'd started doing it at her desk years ago, feeling silly at first with coworkers glancing over, but soon she was hooked, breezing through her afternoons without a yawn in sight. I decided to give it a go the very next day, even though I wasn't convinced something so basic could fix my slump. At 2 p.m., when that familiar heaviness started creeping in, I pushed myself up from my couch, stood in the middle of my living room, and stretched my arms high above my head, feeling my spine lengthen and my shoulders loosen as I breathed deep. I tilted side to side, letting my hips sway a little, then bent forward just enough to touch my knees, holding it for a slow count of 5, my breath steady and calm. At first, I felt a bit ridiculous, like I was putting on a show for the cat napping on the windowsill, but as I moved, I could feel my pulse pick up, my eyes clear, and that thick fog lift from my head like a curtain being pulled back. I straightened up, shook out my arms, and walked to the kitchen for a glass of water, no dragging feet, no heavy lids, just a light, awake feeling that stuck with me. The first time was a revelation, but I kept at it, stretching every day around 2 or 3 p.m., and by the end of the first week, I was hitting 3 p.m. With energy to spare, no slump in sight, ready to water my plants or call Judy for a chat without a single yawn. Now, it's my daily ritual, 5 minutes of stretching, and I'm fresh as a daisy, powering through my afternoons like I'm 20 years younger. Clara nailed it when she said, "Move a little, and you win a lot." It's pure magic, simple as that. I called Clara a few days later, eager to dig deeper, and she explained it all while I scribbled notes on a pad by the phone. She said that sitting too long, whether on the couch, at a table, or in a chair, slows your circulation, and a heavy lunch can pull even more energy to your stomach, leaving your brain and muscles starved, which is why that slump feels like a brick wall. Stretching for just 5 minutes gets your blood pumping, sends oxygen rushing to your head, and resets your whole system, waking you up without the jitters of coffee or the grogginess of a nap. I used to collapse after lunch, my body sinking into the couch like it was quicksand, my mind too fuzzy to focus on anything but the clock, but now I'm sharp and steady, moving through my day with a bounce I'd forgotten I could have. Judy caught me stretching on my porch one afternoon, asked what I was up to, and when I told her, she tried it herself. Now she swears by it, saying, "I don't fade anymore, it's like a little miracle." My sister in Atlanta gave it a shot too after I raved about it over the phone, texting me a week later, "Afternoons are mine again, no more dragging." It's so easy, costs nothing, and delivers every time, like flipping a switch to turn your day back on. I've made it my own over time, tweaking it to fit my life and keep it fun. Most days, I stretch right on my porch, letting the fresh air wash over me as I reach up high, feeling the sun warm my face while I loosen my arms and legs, breathing in deep gulps of that sweet Carolina breeze. Sometimes, I add a little march in place, lifting my knees 10 times like I'm leading a parade, giggling at myself as I go, and it leaves me feeling spry and silly in the best way. After a month of this, I was gardening until 5 p.m. with no trouble, pulling weeds and trimming bushes without that old heaviness creeping in, or chasing the grandkids around the yard, building block towers and laughing at their antics without a single yawn slipping out. I'd call Clara every so often to update her, saying, "You saved my afternoons, I'm a new woman." And she'd laugh, "I told you it works, didn't I?" It's not just about dodging the slump anymore, it's about owning my day, every hour of it, feeling alive from dawn to dusk like I deserve. The beauty of it is how it fits anywhere, anytime, no fancy gear or big changes needed. Some days, I stretch in the kitchen while supper's simmering, reaching up between stirring the pot, or in the living room if it's raining, standing by the window watching the drops fall as I twist and bend. I've played with it too, sometimes I'll stretch my arms out wide like I'm hugging the air, other times I'll roll my shoulders back slow and easy, feeling the knots unwind, always keeping it to about 5 minutes so it's quick but potent. After a few weeks, I noticed more than just energy. My mood lifted too. No more grumbling at the clock or snapping at my husband over little things like leaving his socks on the floor, just a steady calm that carried me through. Judy's taken it up full-time now, stretching in her backyard every afternoon, and she says it's not just her energy that's better, but her whole day feels lighter. My grandson caught me at it once when he was over, asked, "Grandma, what's that dance?" And I showed him, laughing as he stretched with me, then ran off full of pep, saying, "I'm awake now." It's spreading through my little world, this tiny trick that delivers so much. It's not a cure-all, mind you. If you're wiped out from bigger issues, a doctor's worth a chat. But for most of us, this 5-minute stretch is a golden key to unlock afternoons we thought were lost. I didn't nail it right away, I'll be honest. Those first days, I'd forget until 4 p.m., or I'd stretch for 2 minutes and sit back down, but I kept at it, building it into my rhythm, and now it's as natural as breathing. Clara showed me that slumps don't have to win, they're just a nudge to move, and I feel it every time I stand up and shake them off. I tell my husband now, "Honey, I've conquered the afternoon." And he grins, "You're my Energizer bunny." If you're ready to take back your day, try it this afternoon. Stand up, stretch high, twist a little, and feel the freshness flood in. It's pure gold, like Charlotte's golden sunsets, keeping you bright when the day wants to dim. Loved this slump-busting trick? Follow Harmonic Aging for more golden years gems like this, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep shining together.